99 podcast, 99 podcast in the cloud. Welcome. If you did not could tell from that song, I've left you a clue. We are on the 99th podcast of the DweeBros podcast.
You've been working on that one?
Yes, I've been workshopping that and did a lot of meetings today on that. So with myself,
Meetings
myself.
With yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
I set up my laptop and I set up my iMac and I was FaceTiming myself about that. So it went well. It was a good meeting.
It's got your signature sound.
Yeah. But welcome to the 99th podcast. I know you're
It's Tetris 99?
Yeah.
This is podcast 99.
99 podcasts in our YouTube. 99 podcasts are here. Take one down, listen to another, watch another. 99 podcasts are here. Yeah. But we're missing.
That's good.
Thank you. We're missing
Who are we
Jacob.
missing?
Because Jacob, we had set this time up. Everything was perfect. We were set to go. We got a message from him saying, I'll be at WWE. And then
the day we were going to film,
yes.
He messaged and said, I am going to be at WWE. And we were like, oh.
So I was like, oh, I wonder about the rest of his week. Well, in that same message, he said, but then I can't Tuesday, but then Wednesday, I'm going to be at Raw. So
I guess that was the same thing.
Well, maybe it sounded like there was two different things. I don't know, but he's going to multiple wrestling. He is kind of ingrained in the wrestling culture now. So,
hey, you know what? More power to him. More power to him.
So that's where Jacob is.
I wasn't on 98.
That's true.
So
he basically was I'm going to go wrestling if Travis wants to take off for 97, 98. So
I can't throw stones from a glass house,
Yeah, I can.
So, yeah. You've never missed an episode?
I've never missed an episode because I'm kind of running.
Because, no, we could have done one without you, I'm sure, at some point, but you would not let us probably.
I really look forward to doing them. So I think the worst that's happened is we've had to push them back or just do them online if one of us is sick or if I was sick or whatever.
You've always made the time. You've always made the time. You always text and say, when do we want to do it?
Yeah.
It would be funny though if there was ever a time that it was just me and Jacob.
It would be.
Was there ever a time?
No.
There was never a time.
No.
Never.
It's always been all three of us a lot or one of you has to go, but I was thinking about that today. I was I've never
Devin has subbed in a couple times.
Oh yeah, there's been times where both of you haven't, and Devin, Kenny have been here. We did a pool one with them, I think. Or
we've done hot tub, we've done pool, done special event episodes.
So we can kind of get into. We'll have more stuff. I think we'll put out a separate video, kind of talking about this. I believe it'll be a separate video. But 99 is next to a bigger number. 100. So we are still discussing things. So we're holding the cards close to our chest. We're holding the Balatro cards close to our chest at the moment. But we are going to do something very special for 100th podcast. 100 podcast.
It would be very different, probably.
It's going to be I don't want to give anything away, but it'll be a lot of fun things. It won't just be a podcast. It'll be bigger. Think the biggest thing you can think of, and that's what this podcast is going to be. Maybe don't think of the biggest thing you can think of. Think of something marginally bigger than what we've done before.
Wow, way to get the people going here.
But no, we're excited. We thank you guys for watching, and we're working on something big. So that will be
huge.
That'll be a separate
I'll
thing.
Hype it.
That'll be a thing we'll post about on YouTube and stuff. You'll know about it.
It's gonna be the most ambitious thing we've ever done.
No, not even that. Dweebs.
It's more ambitious than Dweebs.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, this is gonna be a lot of work. So, but that's next month is our 100th podcast. We've been doing this since 2017, so we're trying to cook up something a little bit more special for that. But stay tuned. How are you doing?
100 hour marathon.
Ooh, now we're talking. Now we're cooking with grease.
We're gonna rent a house and we're gonna live in it and just be dweebs together for 100 hours.
We're gonna dress up as Batman and do a Batman marathon. Well, what have you been up to?
I've been you can probably tell I don't have my signature energy.
The signature Travis energy.
We had a baby and she's perfect, but I don't get a lot of sleep these days. So it's I'm about here as much as Jacob is. No, I'm here. I'm excited. I'm actually excited to catch up. I missed the last one and I have played some games, but yeah, we had a baby, and so I'm getting to learn about that dad life. Getting to learn about all the things that go into that, and it's been amazing. But I'm learning how to do things with one arm. I'm learning how to learn how to stay awake at night. That is definitely a big thing I'm learning. So I've been watching a lot more TV actually than playing games. I have beat a couple games though, so I'm excited to talk about that. But
nice.
Yeah, it's been a fun time. It's been the best of times. It's been the sleepiest of times.
She's prepping you for the 100-hour podcast.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I could do 100 hours.
I could do
100 hours stream.
What's the longest
right now?
What's the longest you've ever stayed up?
So
continuously.
There was something I was part of at a church one time called 30-hour famine.
I've heard of churches doing. I've been to one like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't do the eat thing. There was like pizza there.
It's what?
Well, you're saying like the hour. I said I did something similar. I was like when you said there was a famine. And
the purpose of the 30-hour famine. It's like a prolonged lock-in, and adults do it too. It's not just like teenagers, but you don't eat. You fast at the church and you hang out and you do Bible studies and you watch movies. We watch like Lord of the Rings. You do all sorts of random stuff. But you don't eat like for real, like for 30 hours. And then like they show you like videos of like people starving in like Kenya and stuff.
Really?
Like, and it's like, yeah. And it's like, you think you've got it. But I will say at the end of it, I was like, I do have it pretty bad. I'm really hungry. I was like 12. So I did a 30-hour famine. So that was really for me bad because I didn't get to eat.
Yeah.
And I was awake because at least when you have to stay awake for something. So it was probably some point in my life doing an all-nighter for something like that. And,
so it was like 30 hours. Okay.
40, yeah, maybe 30, 40 hours. I don't think I've ever gone beyond 48 hours for sure.
I think they say like
at least
if you go past, it might be 48. I've heard people say like you're in danger level because like that's when you start seeing the walls melt. It might be 72 hour, like something around there. You start seeing the walls melt and crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
I think the longest for me, I still remember this. I never really stayed up like all night. I would go to bed at like 5 a.m. I'd get to a point, whatever. You get to a point where like my dad would be waking up for work and I'm like, ooh, it's time to go to bed. Like you just feel the guilt and shame of like, oh, like he's getting up for work and I've just been playing games all night. But it was Black Friday sales that they were doing. And that was much bigger back in the day or whatever. And I think it was the year like Super Mario Galaxy came out. I remember this. And I was playing Sly Cooper, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to just stay up playing this game. I'm going to get Super Mario Galaxy on sale tomorrow. I'm just going to stay up. And I was fine, and my aunt was driving. Like, I'd go with my aunt. It was like a big tradition for us. And I stayed up the entire night, went shopping the next day, and then it got to like noon, and I was, like, we were driving back, and I was, like, zooted. I was gone. Yeah, but then there was another time. I just remember this. I'm stupid. The time I say recent, this was probably 2015, 2014. Do you remember when we went with Devin and them? We went up to like Kenwood and all that.
Yes.
Were you there for that?
Vaguely.
Or did you leave?
Like Black Friday?
We drove to Kenwood afterwards.
Yeah.
And when
one of those Black Fridays with you guys was I had the realization as I was out. I was like, this is the last time I can ever do this. I can't ever do this again.
That might have been the time after. There was something after that. We went to a closer mall than that area. But I distinctly remember we went to American Eagle or something. We were getting clothes or whatever, and walking out, the person said, "Have a good morning," and I went, "Uh-oh," and like I was wrecked for 3 days after that. It
Yeah,
it
that's rough.
annihilated me. But I learned a lesson from that. I was like, well, this killed me, and I was sleeping and it wasn't working. So I found a trick, and I luckily found this trick because when I was doing that movie, Choke recently, we were talking about it on the podcast or whatever. I filmed a feature film. There was some where I was going up until 7 the next day or filming all through the day, all through the night and stuff. I learned a trick. And the trick for me was you have to sleep in increments. So when I got back
Yeah.
from like that really long, like 20 plus hour like shoot, or like I'm out there forever, um, came home, slept for like 3 hours and woke up.
See,
And
I've been discovering this as having a kid.
yeah, you can't do it all at
I've
once or
been
it tries to kill you.
I've been doing it. I would do increments.
Yeah.
So, we kind of switch off. She was being really fussy this week, so I would sleep 2, 3 hours, then switch, and we'd go back and forth through the night. And I've gotten used to it, and it does. You wake up and you're like, I don't feel like 100% refreshed, but I feel like I can function.
Yeah.
I actually forgot one of the craziest things I've done that was just I just was very, very tired afterwards was the midnight release of Halo 3. I came home with that and I played all the way up until the Cortana level.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to school because I think it released on a Tuesday, if I remember correctly. Or
I
like the
took off
midnight
whatever
release
that
was on
was that day
the
was.
midnight the midnight release was like a Monday night or whatever it was. And I played all the way to the Cortana level and then it was light outside and I had to leave for school.
That's crazy.
And I left for school and I would have been in 2007 in like ninth grade, I think. I left for school. I came home like from school and I was destroyed. Like I could not,
Yeah.
I don't think I played the game. I don't think I finished the game like until that following weekend because I just felt sick. I
Yeah.
just did not feel right. I felt so sick and
That
and
was the biggest thing is
nowadays,
you
yeah,
can't you'll frick your whole sleep schedule up. Cuz that was what I
yeah,
learned on this film thing is like, well, if I go to bed and I get a full 8 hours, it's going to be like
mm,
5 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock. I'm waking up and I'm destroyed. So I was
yeah,
like, I'm going to try this trick, and the trick has worked personally for me. I was like 4 hours, got up at a pretty like towards afternoon, went through my day, crashed like, oh my gosh, and then took another nap for like 2, 3 hours. And then I like slowly weaned myself back to like normal sleeping hours and then went to sleep for the whole
yeah,
night the next night. But
yeah.
you can just get
Yeah.
really fricked
Oh,
out.
you know what? I can't believe I forgot this. Last thing that is the hardest because it's like 30-hour famine, but you're exerting energy the whole time and communicating and getting frustrated. The raids for Destiny
That's
2.
Destiny.
Oh my God. There was one year that we raided. I got on at like 11 because the raid was going to start at 1 because I had some prep work to do and some things to finish and some gear to craft and stuff. And then we started at 1 and we
Oh my
went all
gosh.
the way until 8:30 or 9 a.m. We did not take a break just trying to beat these encounters and beat like we tried one of the encounters, one of the bosses easily 120 times. Like it just something would fail, somebody would mess up, this guy would do this, I would mess up. And we called it at 8:30 or 9 that we were going to take 30 minutes of sleep and come back.
Oh my gosh.
And we came back and we were a disaster and we quit. But we did even after sleeping, a group of us did try to get back on and finish it before 1 or at least finish the part we were on. But that was like so hard because it was almost 24 hours straight.
Yeah.
I had been up over 24 hours definitely and I had been playing a game for 24 hours straight almost and that was brutal. I mean,
Jeez.
I love those memories and those were so fun. And there's nothing else like that where you're working with 5 other people. And when you have the aha moments and you finally have the perfect execution and you do it, you feel like just it's the closest thing to being like part of a sport that I can
Yeah.
think of in games.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, we did it, go. And then, you eventually have to call it unless you're like a really high level team that like streams and stuff. But those were
That would be
hard
very
too.
dangerous for me because I don't like to quit ever, and I just get
You would have
situations.
a hard
I
time.
get in
Yeah.
situations where I'm like, "Ooh, this is not good," because like I don't ever like to quit, and I'm kind of stuck, and I have a sense of dread
Yeah.
because I'm like, "This will never end." I mean, that's
Well, and think about you're tied to 5 other people. So there's always like one person that kind of starts giving off the energy like they want to call it. And like
yeah,
the other people are like, we are not calling it. And it's
yeah,
not like you just sub somebody out easily. Like
yeah,
you've been doing the encounter with them for 4 or 5 hours. Like you can't leave, dude. Like,
yeah.
so there's definitely a big part of, earning the trust of your teammates. We didn't have anybody ever pull the rug out and just leave. We did have people get really frustrated,
There's people
very
filling
frustrated.
filling things out. They threw it out and said, "Can
Yeah.
we? Can I? I want to see where everybody else is at."
And you definitely get some passive aggressive comments and some things. Um, but yeah, those were really unique experiences. But that was so all those things prepared me a little bit for having a baby.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
a baby is like a raid that doesn't end. You just
Yeah.
do get to step away for 2 hours here and there. But it's a great time.
It's a
But
live service
it's
game
a
that
lot.
never
It's,
ends. And they
it
keep
is. It
swapping out
is.
things, and you lose some of the old, and they
Yeah, they
give you new.
patch, they add content, they take content away.
They take,
So we
so
had a breakthrough this week though. I think we figured something out and hopefully
figured out the
smooth
raid
sailing. Yeah, before they
before they
drop
patch
that
it.
next update. Yeah, they patch it. So
Uh,
anyway,
yeah. I wanted to tell you about. I've been dying to tell you about this, but I want to tell the folks at home that I had something happen to me on Facebook Marketplace that shook me to the core, and I want to share it with everybody else. Had a computer, an old iMac. My parents wanted me to sell for them. Parents will give me stuff or whatever, and they don't want to go through the trouble. They don't even have a Facebook account, and they just want me to like sell stuff every now and then. So I had this iMac, been pushing it back, trying to list it. I finally did. And because I know the reason I push it back, if you've ever sold anything on Marketplace, it is somehow
yeah,
collectively the dumbest people
yeah,
within your like radius of where you live. I've always had problems. It's always, and people at home could probably tell me the same. They've had the same issue of, "Hi, is this available?" "Yes, it is," and then no response. Just a million people doing that. So I listed this thing, and I looked at what it was going for, and I listed like this much or whatever. I listed a little bit lower than what it's going for. People started coming in. "Hi, is this available?" "Yes." "Hi, is this available?" "Yes." "Hi, is this available?" "Yes." But what I like to do, because sometimes I'll have these people just, door pickup, or if it's something I'm out or whatever, I'll meet you somewhere, a Walmart or something, parking lot. But this one was like, this is a heavy computer or whatever. People just got to come porch pickup. Well, doing that, I kind of screen these people's profiles, because you can click and see their Facebook profiles. And there'll be people like from different countries. They're just living in a different country. And other people have like 10 friends and no profile picture. And they're like, "What's the address?" And it's like, you're never going to get it, my man.
yeah.
But I had, and my wife was dying at this, I had somebody named Bobo wanting it. I had somebody named Tuesday that really wanted it. And people were like, "Hi, is it still available?" "Okay, what part of town are you in?" I would tell them, and they were just very slow. It's like, "Everything's good with it, nothing's wrong." But I would answer these questions, and it was taking days for them to like respond back, or they wouldn't ever respond. I had somebody, and this is where I lost it. I was losing it because I was getting so many of these messages. Max Payne messaged me. MAXPAIN messaged me,
That's great.
and I saw that and laughed and said, "I'm not selling it to this person," or I didn't even respond to their message. But they can see if you've seen it, or they can respond again. Max Payne said, "I really want this." He said, "Hi, is this available?" I didn't say anything, and he said, "I really want this," and I'm like, "I'm sure you do, Max Payne." And I had another person I showed Chelsea, and it was I looked at this one person. I was like, "Well, who's this person?" They're like, "Hi, is this available? I'm interested in it." And I click on their profile. They have 10 friends, no profile picture, but their bio says, "I'm 6'5", tatted up from head to toe. I don't take no for an answer," or something like that. It was just like, and I was like, "No, you know what? No, we're not going to do that either. Sorry." And I finally found this one person. And it seemed like a younger kid, had a girlfriend or whatever. I looked at his profile, everything was like, whatever, looks fine. And he's asking me about it, and do you go lower? And I was like, no, I'm pretty firm on this. Okay, I'll be there. This is a good deal. I'll be there. Cool. They get here, get him the iMac, and I get a message from him a little bit later. It said, hey, there's a password on here. And when I said it, I wiped it. I set a password, and I was like, oh, okay. And I gave him the password, which was literally just password to get into like the computer, because I set up a default account that they can wipe or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can put on there like hint. There's a hint under there. So I remember I was like, I did put this because I knew I was selling it, to somebody. I put the hint. I put hint, or it just has what what's the hint or whatever. I put the password is password. So I put that on there, and I was like, okay, well maybe you didn't see it. I don't know. Well, along with that, I was like, okay, sorry, I thought of whatever. The password is password. He's like, cool. The keyboard's not working, and I was like, oh, did I take the batteries out? Okay, I gotta help this guy. Yeah, it takes double, just put new batteries in it and just click the button on the side or whatever. There's like a little latch or whatever. And he messages me back this. Yeah, there was batteries in it. I took it out and I replaced the batteries, but they're like moving around in there. And I was like, if the batteries are in there, put the old ones back in and press the button on the side. And he went, okay. But yeah, when he said that he put new batteries in, so that's what I was saying. I was like, it takes double A's, but then I'm like, as I'm explaining that, like, I'm having like a moment of a crisis that like deepened in me.
He put triple A's in it?
He had to, or something even smaller. I don't know. Like there's watch batteries, but it's probably like, yeah, there's triple A's. So when this happened, one, I'm like, this is, why couldn't he figure it out, the battery thing? But it goes deeper than that. I really was like starting to think through, this guy drove here. He couldn't figure out batteries. And he had to been in his early 20s. He was early 20s figuring out batteries. But it just made me really, 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 really sad. Then I was hit with a wave of emotion, because if this guy can't figure out batteries, like, this guy is the future of, like, hey, is he going to help so that I can have a retirement? Is there going to be people working that support society? I was going through, like, the future of society with this guy. Like, everything in my life was, like, pinning on this guy, going, like, is there other people like him? He can't be the only one that would do this. You know what I mean? Like, if we're at that level, So, yeah, it's made me spiral, because I was like, the future of the nation is over. Like, it's absolutely cooked if this guy is in charge of anything.
Well, if he's operating at that level, it may be a while before he's in charge of anything. But I share the sentiment. Sometimes there's older people, people that remember when, you just knew how to fix your car. There were no microchips.
This turned me into a boomer a little bit.
I think they look at us sometimes and are like, what are, like, they don't know. You don't know how to get from here to here without your phone, that kind of thing. And I think that every generation has these things. But not knowing the difference between AAA and AA is tough.
That's cross generational.
That's rough.
I think even some other Gen Z people would be like, "What's going on here? What's going on here, big guy?"
That's really funny, extremely funny.
So that was really rough. So yeah, I have.
It also makes me laugh that he couldn't figure out password when you gave him the hint that it's password.
The password is password. So that was on there too. But yeah, I
quite a riddle you left him.
He was like sitting there like, I don't know. But at the time, also when I was telling my wife about this, she was saying, like, we were talking about how, like, we want to be very, like, in tune and not on our, like, phones all the time around our kid or whatever. And then, like, we were holding him, and I just looked at him and I was like, AA is bigger, AAA is small. I was like, I've got to make sure you know what battery sizes are. Like you got to figure out
this is
some of that
key knowledge, fundamental knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, I
it's
mean,
crazy.
it
made me question everything. So it made me spiral, but hopefully, hopefully, like, with, role models like Logan Paul and Mr. Beast, we can get back on track. And Elon Musk, maybe we can get back on track with this nation, you know.
Yeah, remains to be seen. I'm not overly optimistic.
And Zuckerberg, he's changed his look, so we've got some
Zuck and Bezos and all these guys they're going to lead us to the future. So let's see.
But enough of that. The future. What were you going to say?
Well, I don't know. It was not important. It was, this could become a really different podcast really quickly.
It really can. Yeah.
I'd rather stick with our normal lane.
Yeah, so that was Facebook Marketplace. I don't want to sell again for a while on there. It's not a good place.
I have a pile of like music equipment that I've been putting off selling on there for about a year. It's been sitting in a pile in my studio, and it's stuff that like we got to talk about what things are worth and what they're worth, right? Like theoretically, I see this MIDI controller posted at $100.
Yeah.
I see the same one sit for $100 all the time.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that I bought it.
Is not what it sells for.
It doesn't matter. I bought it for $499 in 2012.
Yeah.
And I just accept that if I can get it out of my house and make $50 on it, I'll be skipping. Exactly. I'll be so happy. And that's why I'm putting it off, because I know I'm going to put it up there for 50 and I'm going to have to go wade through 100 bozos. Oh, is this, and I know actually, and this is the sad part, the cynical part, whoever buys it will not know how to use it, and they will just try to sell it to somebody else or throw it away because it's kind of a clunky piece of it's an older MIDI controller. It's just not, the reason I want to get rid of it is because it's just not, it's got more functionality than your average person really needs. And that's the sad part, is it's like, I'm just grifting. I would just be selling it to someone that wouldn't really like it. They think they'd like it. They're going to buy it because they think they need this thing that they don't need.
It's a mixture of like, you have to wade through crap and not respond to certain people that are just like, you can tell off the rip are going to be a problem. But the other part of it is like, and this is where I always get hung up, and I started a new strategy. Okay, I'll be there at 7, or I'll meet whatever. Well, they've been late. They've been like 2 hours late. Like, I've waited. I'm not waiting. I was going to be here all night or whatever at my house or whatever, but like I've waited, like they were 2 hours past the time, and that's insane. On average. That's like it more skews for that. And this guy was this guy was kind of late too.
You're crazy. I've only sold something from my house twice. I like the meet me in this public place.
Yeah.
At this time.
Yes.
And then it's like, I'm not waiting for you, and vice versa. Like,
well, I think it's more dangerous time-wise that way, because you have to like say, I follow up on that day of like, hey, are we still good for 3 p.m. today or whatever? Hey, I'm going to be leaving here at 2 to get there. Okay, cool. Like, I have to keep doing that, because if you leave and the place is like you're driving for whatever, and then they don't leave, like they don't meet, oh my gosh, like
you're SOL.
Screwed. Yeah. Whereas at your house, they can be a little bit later. But what I have started to do is like, hey, is 6 o'clock good? And I can sense the goofy energy aura. I go, that's cool, but I have to be out of here at 6:30, so please tell me your ETA. I always say that, like, please let me your ETA, but like I go, I have to be out of here at 6:30, even though I don't, because I need to put a fire. Like, these people will just get out of the bed in their Cookie Monster pajamas, and like they'll show up at your house at 3 hours past. Like, it's crazy. That's the average people I'm like meeting on there. It's just, So tell me your guys' favorite.
I'd rather just give stuff away.
Yeah,
just give it away.
Tell me if you've had any crazy Facebook Marketplace stories, because I have. You just went black for a second, like faded black.
It stopped, and then it sped your voice up, and I got caught up in like a second. So.
Let's get to the fun stuff. Society's going to be just okay. I think it's going to be okay. I take everything back.
I think it's trending up. I don't.
I don't know. I think we're trending up right now. Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider's back, baby. They put out 5, and
Is Tomb Raider
6.
back?
Yeah, they
Oh,
remastered
okay.
4, 5, and 6, which I've never known them as that.
I
But
didn't know those existed.
it's
I
a much
don't.
easier way to describe them that way because it's Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation and Tomb Raider Chronicles and Tomb Raider: Angel of Darkness. So there was the last two that they on PlayStation 1 and then the PS2 one, Angel of Darkness. So I was shocked that they were even going to do this because I was like, those are kind of more of the obscure ones. A lot less people played those than the first original trilogy. And then Angel of Darkness just about killed the entire franchise of Tomb Raider because of how bad and buggy, and that thing was hyped up and it sucked. It sucked so bad.
Really?
Yeah. It about killed
Really?
everything. It was so buggy. It was incomplete. My dad and like me were really excited for it when it came out, and it came out, and like that first day we were just so disappointed. It was a pile of trash. So
How's the remaster?
yeah, that was the big thing. I was like on the Reddit, like, what is this going to be? And like reading up on stuff on it. And they were saying that they were like, hey, this is not going to be drastically different or whatever, but we are going to actually like fix some of these bugs that like break the game. There's certain things that weren't done that we are actually going to like place back in. It was already done, but they just didn't have time to like kind of tweak these last couple things. We're placing that stuff back in there. Some of the cut content is still just not there, but like they got the basic stuff done. So looking at the Reddit and seeing people's like average thing, they were kind of like pleased. I'm not on that one yet. I'm playing them in order because I've never beat those last two either on PlayStation. I just kind of played through them as a kid, played what I could. So I'm playing Last Revelation now, but they've done like weird choices on this one. For example, like this first three, you have like med packs and stuff, but they've made everything like supersized. So all the med packs are like really big, because I think that was kind of a complaint probably, is like sometimes
Was
it's
it because of the
hard.
little tiny key?
Yeah,
in
maybe
the
it's
first, in the first remaster?
it was harder to see, but no, this is how the original PS1 was. They made it like that was big. So I'm kind of like playing this game for the first time, like looking at it analytically and kind of like seeing if this game was good, but I'm having fun so far. It's just big stuff. They changed the eyes on Laura as well from the original 3 like models. It's just weird to see those kind of changes on a PS1 game, like graphically taking this character you've seen, like the eyes look different. So then when you change the remastered, they go back. That looks just like cohesive with the other ones. I'm like, yeah, like
That's cool.
That was the right choice. So, having a lot of fun with it. I'm like, that's just the perfect cozy game. There's no music. You're just jumping around trying to find out where you're at. This one's the most Tomb Raider-ish game I've played actually so far. It is heavily like you are in tombs. You are in these Egyptian tombs a lot versus the other ones. The other ones you're kind of like more varied, but I'm in like big time like tombs right now. Because it's about,
How long are these games?
Do what?
How long are these games?
This one's actually the longest one. It averages out like 18 hours, but the last one was like 16. The one before that was like 14. The one before that was like 9 or whatever. But and then the next one, Chronicles, I think was like 10 I saw. And then I don't know what Angel of Darkness is, but I think this is the one I'm playing is the longest one of this original like kind of PS1 games.
I've never played a Tomb Raider game. Not one.
I'd play one, and if you dig it, then these are. I just like tuning into these right now. This is what I'm really into. But
you would say play these old ones instead of like the reboot one or whatever.
They have a different feel. They're so different. Like if you play the 2013 one, so fun. Rise of the Tomb Raider, so fun. But even the anniversary one and the Legend, Tomb Raider Legend, whatever. You're moving the analog stick. It's all more modern controls, whatever. But these are tank controls, and you have to get used to the feel of like running and jumping, and it's very tactile. But it's very kind of meditative of a game, I would say, more than any other game I've ever played, because you're kind of like figuring out these puzzles, and you really have to like, okay, I got to take this key over here. I just killed this guy over here. Okay, but there's no music. There's music at times. Music will like kick in if you're like in a crazy moment, or you're like in a Jeep like little chase thing. But other than that, like Chelsea wants me to play it, and she's like, this game puts me to sleep, because you're like, it's just the environment. You're just hearing the environment. You're hearing her like grunting, kind of like trying to like climb on these like ropes and all this stuff. But
interesting.
It's very meditative. Like you're just kind of like sitting there and you're really trying to, and it's not fast. Like when you're on like Nathan Drake and you're jumping to like the different crevices in the wall, like she's like,
Yeah, she's just shimmying.
She's shimmying, and this newest one I played, they actually sped it up. Like they sped some of the stuff up, which I'm enjoying actually from playing the first three. But yeah, so meditative game. I'll let you guys know as I'm going along with these. That's what I'm going to be playing these next 3 games. And Angel of Darkness. We'll see if I could actually complete it this time. We'll see.
Well, I'm glad those are like tailor made for you. You really love that series, and you got all of them now remastered, right? Because then after Angel of Darkness, it goes into Anniversary.
Yeah, and those have been like you can just play those on PC and they look fine. They look really good.
I will say I kind of lied. I said I'd never played any of them. I have played the first one on Steam for 20 minutes, maybe. And it wasn't that it was bad. I think I just booted it up and was like, this is old.
Yeah.
And it's a Steam port, of an old game.
Yeah.
But you're going to laugh at me. I own on Steam 1, 2, and 3, Anniversary, Legacy, and Underworld. Is that one of them?
And I hated Underworld.
And I own 2013. So I own 7 of them.
And you played 20 minutes of one.
Yeah.
I thought you played the 2013 one. You never played the 2013 one?
No.
Oh, wow.
We've talked about it, but I've never played it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But those are fun little games. The only other thing I played, I finally booted up, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Like kind of revisiting this game for the first time since 2004 was the last time I played this game. Paper Mario: 1,000-Year Door. It came out at the end of last year, I believe, and I got it on the Switch. The biggest bummer was I want to play this handheld. I'm going on trips this year or whatever, and I want to have my Switch with me. So I'm hoping the freaking Nintendo Switch 2 can do some running these games a little bit better. I'm just praying that can happen or patch these games because it's 30 frames per second, and the original Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door was in 60 frames. Of course, the graphics look amazing. Like they've touched all the textures, everything's been redone or whatever to make it look really good. But I'm like, ugh, I'm playing it oh, I wish Nintendo Switch 2, because I won't finish it by the time that comes out, and I just hope that please Nintendo, please patch it, please do something. Because I could have emulated it like the other crap I'm playing, but I want to be on the go. That's the coolest thing about the freaking Switch,
I'm in a weird place with the Switch 2. Or really, I'm in a weird place with Xenoblade Chronicles X comes out next month or in the next couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah.
And I really want to play it. I'm going to play it, but I don't know if I'm safe to buy it for the Switch because I think I'd rather play it on the Switch too.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that one's safe. That one's safe because it's so close to the Switch too. You'll get something.
It will have backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they will do a Switch 2 version that's better.
Oh, yeah. I think they'll just patch. I think because it's so close, they'll just be kind of a patch thing. I don't know.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I'm at on that. Speaking of Switch stuff, so I played more of Metroid Prime.
Okay.
That was one of the games I was playing. I think I'm on the home stretch of that game. I've got almost all the power-ups, and I played the game kind of stupid because I started it and then a year and a half later tried to pick it back up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I'm pretty much just doing a guide, and I read the guide and it tells me where to go, and then I go do it in the game, and then I read the guide. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what I need. I don't know what I don't need. It's not the best way to play that game.
You gotta play that one.
Yeah. But I don't want to restart it, and I want to check the box and experience it. So that was one I was playing. I haven't finished that one. But I did. Let me look at my list here. I did beat a few. I've beaten 4 games so far this year, which
You're
I'm
a gamer
proud of
now
for having a kid. I'm off to an okay start here. I beat Balatro, or I should say I completed a run of Balatro, but I count that as winning. It's a roguelike. You win a run, you beat the game. There's a lot more I can do.
Was there credits?
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember. It said you won.
Okay.
I got an achievement.
Okay.
So I consider that winning.
I would consider that. I would consider that.
Yeah. Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, finished that campaign. That was a good, really solid, fun game. If somebody was what's just fun shooter. I would say that.
Yeah.
So
They knew
I
exactly
don't
what
know.
that was. That was great.
Yeah,
What that's supposed to
they
be.
mixed it up and they did a good job. And by the end, I was good for it to be over, but it was fun. I finished all the main menu books for Gran Turismo 7. That game, I haven't talked with you a lot. You've
Yeah.
talked a lot on here about that. I really love that game. That is a
Yeah.
great
It's awesome.
racing game. That's probably the best racing game. That and Forza Horizon 4, they're very different.
Yeah.
Horizon is not like tweaking your car and like getting licenses. Horizon is like, you're going to go get this truck and you're going to go drive in the woods, and then you're going to go get this other thing and go drive in this, it's more open world. But I've never been a racing sim guy ever. I've just always been intimidated or felt like the first couple I tried like the old Forzas, the motorsport ones that are more you're going to laugh at this. I got so into Gran Turismo that when I
You bought a new
finished
car.
it, no, well, I do need a new car. It has influenced very much kind of what I think
Okay.
I want to do for my next car. And I've gotten more into the different brands and stuff. But I was just sitting there and they were advertising the Daytona 500. And I was looking at it, and I don't watch NASCAR. I don't care about NASCAR. But I was watching the ad and I was like, I should check that out. And I did. I watched the Daytona. I got a baby, so like I'm just looking for things to do. I did watch the Daytona 500. I missed some of it. And it was crazy. What made me laugh was the whole time I'm playing Gran Turismo, I try not to like wreck and hit the other cars because I'm in single player, but some of the menu books, like the races you're on, are so hard for me that I do rage at a certain point, and I just start plowing into the cars.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I'm doing
I've
that
been laughing. I
immediately
was
on turns.
Yeah, I'm
I'm like
laughing.
crashing.
Yeah, on turns, I'm just boxing people out. And I was like, I'm gonna beat this game, but I didn't play it right. But then I watched the Daytona 500, and dude, like at the end of that race, bro, like 3 different people in the last 5 laps just crashed out, just ruined the race for like 20 people got knocked out of the race because like 3 jackasses were doing this and that and trying to force their way in where they don't go and ramming into people. A dude like did like a wheel, like he did like a wheelie and flew out. And there was all this drama. I got on the NASCAR Reddit. I've
Oh, the
never been on the
NASCAR Reddit.
NASCAR Reddit. And dude, these people were pissed about this guy won the race. The guy that won the race was in like 13th, and like everybody in front of him just got destroyed, and he just held on for a lap and he won. And I laughed. And I was like, actually, that's pretty much how I played Gran Turismo. So yeah, but I think that game is really good. I never played the older ones. I sense it's got a bit of a shaky reputation with some of the people that have been around for a long time. It doesn't have a true career mode, I guess people feel like, but I got really into it. And then I went and emulated Gran Turismo 1 a little bit on my little emulation
Oh,
handheld.
wow. How
And
was
I
that?
was kind of interested. It was cool. It gave me a better feel for like the routes, but it's got a lot of the same DNA with like you kind of pick between these different menus and you can go to the shop and race. But one of the racetracks, in the forest, it's 1-to-1 in the new one, what was in the PS1. So I was able to jump on that track and race it. And like, I knew the race, it controlled a little differently, but
My dad and
yeah,
I
that,
loved Gran Turismo growing up, and the graphics were just
yeah,
mind blowing at that time.
yeah,
Like getting those, like seeing the
yeah.
reflection on the hood of the car. I don't know if they had something or whatever, some type of lighting thing that looked really good.
It
But
looked good for PS1.
yeah,
I'm very much a fan, and I enjoyed it. I'll probably kind of dip back in here and there and do so. There's like a whole bunch of missions I haven't even
I
touched, but
paused for a while because I was waiting to get my racing wheel for Christmas or whatever, and I ended up getting that. So I need to jump back in. And then I got to a point where like I didn't have enough money, and I wanted to buy more of that book thing or the books or whatever, because you have to buy cars,
yeah,
and you have to get usually like 3 cars, and then you complete a book, and they'll kind of tell you about that car. I would compare
it's
that
so yeah,
with Tomb Raider. It's a meditative game. You're kind of
it's
lost in it.
very yeah.
It's very tactile. You hear all this like cafe music, and it's always been that jazzy kind of low, kind of jazzy book, bookstore kind of
I
vibes to it.
learned a lot about
Yeah,
cars.
yeah, it
Like that,
was,
yeah. It's like get these 3 mini cars, or
yeah,
get these 3 Chevy, like big body cars,
yes.
and they tell you about the history. Have you gone to the museum at the Brand Central and flipped through any of that?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I might have just opened
If
that up or whatever. It didn't.
if you go to the Brand Central, like Ford, Chevy, and go to their showroom, there's a museum option. If you go to the museum, it is like a 100 slideshow with old archive pictures of the entire history of those companies and all of the car models they debuted and what years and stuff. Very, very cool.
Another thing they
Very cool.
do is and when I get that racing wheel, it's PSVR 2 compatible.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have
I
that and the wheel is like that's your most locked in VR experience. And I think to this day, Gran Turismo 7 is the best PSVR 2 experience you can get. I think it's the best.
Playing this game made me kind of want to get a PSVR too.
Yeah,
So
I really
I
think
need to
like
try yours out.
if you're super into like racing games, this is the one to get. I think at least on consoles. But
Yeah.
no, what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. The other mode they have is where you can like I think they have this without VR, but you can like can you do this without VR? Like you can go first person on the cars and look at the details, or is that only for PSVR? Maybe.
It's
Have you done that?
like going first
First
person is
person, it's
just
like a
PSVR.
showroom, and you can like
Yeah,
lean in. Can you do that without?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
with the
don't think
PSVR
so.
2, there's a mode, and I had my dad do this, and he was just going crazy. I was like, you could choose different cars, and you could like open up this door, see the interior, and you're like moving around with your head, and you can see the
Man,
details and the stitching on the stuff or whatever, and you could see at the rear well and look under the car and all this stuff. But yeah, it's very cool. If you're into cars, this is like a dream. I just have a very passive. My parents are really into cars, and I just have a passive love for the series. I just think it's very
yeah, let me open this
chill.
door for this cat. Hang
Look at this
on.
cat. Uh,
I'm
yeah.
back.
So Gran Turismo, that's a good one. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to.
it's a really really good game. And I'm happy I played it. I bought it for like $30 on sale. Perfect price. Perfect price. I would have paid. It's worth 70, but I'm glad I got it for like 30,
Yeah.
35. That was ideal.
You talking about NASCAR
Um,
though? I want to go back for just a millisecond on something I saw on TikTok that's been killing me. They did a race. I don't even know where it was, but it was the like Nissan Altima like ultimate race, and they had like 100 Nissan Altimas on like a racetrack, and then they let them go because Nissan Altimas, I don't know if you've heard this, has like a reputation for like they're always getting into wrecks. Like anybody that with an Ultima, because I don't know if they were like the cheapest vehicle in the lot or
oh
whatever,
my
but like
god.
so you just get these knuckleheads that don't know what size batteries, I guess, getting these Ultimas. I'm surprised that guy didn't show up in an Ultima. It might have
I need to
been.
look that up.
Um, it's
I
so
never thought I'd be
funny,
into racing, man.
but they're so it's so funny the clips because they're immediately wrecking. There's like already pileups, but the top comment was killing me. It said, "For 45 minutes, the highways were safe." The safest
I
place
need
you
to
could
look
be.
this up.
But yeah, look that up. It's really good. But
That's good.
yeah, gaming.
You play other stuff?
I am like in the middle of an experiment, a game experiment right now that I regret going down. I have in my corner of this basement over here, I have a retro corner. I'm going to show that soon in an updated like or I think that was in the original, the 2024 collecting video. I have like my old video games and consoles and stuff linked up to a CRT. So I am not like getting these games out of the boxes all the time or whatever. So I like to get like for the N64, I have the EverDrive, what's called an EverDrive. You can put all the games on SD card, throw them in there, and you have everything. I want to get that for the NES, SNES, so I can just play it and have everything on there and play it that way. My PS2, I wanted to play something not too long ago, and my disc reader just does not work. And I was like, well, I can go through the rigmarole of fixing that, or I can kind of look online to see what it takes to play, like put my games on hard drive and just boot them up all from the hard drive and play them on there. So I looked into it and I was like, okay, you need this, you need to buy this, you need to buy this. Okay, you need to get this. So I did all that. Here's like 30 bucks here. You got to get this back part that plugs into where you remember that Ethernet adapter on the back of the PS2s?
Yep.
You got to
Yep.
get like one of those. You got to get this memory card that has this thing on it so it can boot into this. You need to get a hard drive. You need to get something your PC can recognize that like plug in and you can drag files. So I'm like slowly getting this stuff because it's a little pricey. It's over time. I'm like, I'll just get this over last couple months. So today I was like, you know what? It's time. Let's delve into this. What a mess. What a mess this is. I wish I would have just paid $300 for somebody on eBay just to have already done this and just gave it to me. Because you have to format the drive right, but Windows 10 is like, this is too old. I have to put it on the PS2. I format it from the PS2. Then I can't read it from my PC after I've done that. I'm in the moment I'm in command line for stuff, I'm like, and like I have to find something else. Like somebody show me something else. Like, so, yeah, I'm in a mess. I'm deep. And what had happened was I found out the largest you can use on there is a 2 terabyte. You can fit a ton, like a really good amount of PS2 games, but you can't even fit them all at 2 terabytes. That's how like many PS2 games came out. So I was like, I'll get the largest you can get, because any larger than that, you basically have to swap the drives. Like you're swapping drives or whatever. If you really wanted all the PS2 games or something crazy. I didn't want that. I just wanted as much as I could. What's the top? Okay, 2 terabyte. I found out anything above 1 terabyte, you have to do another thing. There's another way you have to go. So I'm watching these YouTube videos. I'm starting to do it. And I'm like, this is not working. And I start going on Reddit. I'm reading. Right now I'm looking at my screen. I have like 15 tabs open because I'm like on Reddit. I'm on this. Why isn't this working? How do I connect this? I'm going down this rabbit hole. It's killing me. And then somebody finally reveals to me, it's like, oh yeah, anything bigger than a terabyte, you can't use that software. And that software's from 2005. It's outdated. You have to use something newer. So,
oh my God.
And I hate leaving any project in my, I don't know if you're like this. I have to know what is next before I shut something down for the night. So like I'm in bed, like trying to find how to fix my issue still, so I can go to sleep. Like I just need to know what step 2 is, and I'll do that the next day or the next morning or whatever. So I'm laying in bed and I find a YouTube video that's 1.5 hours long. Because you know how like these other stuff is like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then 10 minutes, hack your PS2. This was an hour and a half long. And I look at the comments and they're like, thank you. This is the only thing that works for 2 terabytes. This is the only video I found on the internet that works for 2 terabytes. So today I was like, I guess I'm looking at an hour and a half tutorial. I wish you could see this, Travis. I pulled this video up and this guy is in an American like flag ski mask. He's like, what's up, YouTube? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is like how I'm going to do this. And I have to spend like an hour and a half with this guy to like figure this out. So,
oh my God.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. And I mean, it's an upvoted liked video. So, but even his video, I had to like jump to somebody else's video to fix my other issue. And like,
yeah.
I'm in hell right now.
Yeah.
But
well, I can relate. It's not as extreme as your situation, but just in terms of like, how do I do this? And what am I trying to like actually do? And I wound up reading like snarky forum responses between Dragon Ball Z fans. So I'm watching Dragon Ball and I'm very close to the end of it. And I want to watch Dragon Ball Z. And I don't want to watch the version on Crunchyroll. And I have Crunchyroll and I pay for Crunchyroll. So like this isn't I'm not willing to pay money for it thing. But I've heard that what's on Crunchyroll, it's very low quality. It's not the right dub. It's not the right like music, blah, 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 blah. So I even asked you a couple weeks ago, I was like, hey, like where would I acquire Dragon Ball Z,
I gave him a
like
very
files. I don't want to go on animekissy.com and watch it in a web browser. I want the files, I want to be on Plex. And this had sent me down the craziest rabbit hole because there are so many versions of the show and the dub and fan recreations and the combinations of music. And there's 9 seasons and 290 episodes and 14 movies. And what was killing me was I had like 2 options. It seemed like there was something that was like 9 gigs but was awful, like the lowest quality, like not good. All the episodes were messed up. Like that was one. And the other one was 897 gigs. And it was like the most like laid out patch notes of there was an 80 gig fix download to fix the 870 gig one. And it was just like, I cannot do this. And I was reading through the notes and it would not let me select just like one thing. And I was like, so I either watch this show on Crunchyroll with the wrong stuff, or I watch it in the lowest possible quality, or I watch it in unbelievable, unnecessary quality with like all these things baked
Patch
in.
notes
And I could not find a win. I finally yesterday, through sources, I found one that was what I needed. It was 287 gigs.
That's doable.
It had the show. It had all the movies that are necessary. It had some extras that I could carve out. But I looked at the comments on the hosting site.
That's where you get in trouble.
And there was a war going on in the comments. and I was like, who is this iChaos? iChaos. I was like, that name is familiar. The guy that was at war with the guy that made this is the guy that made the 897 gig one. And him and his disciples were tearing the hosted file package apart. And the people were like responding like, no, like you're being, blah, blah. And this guy was like, well, here's some constructive criticism. And it was like a dissertation of everything he thought he did wrong. And I thought it was so effing funny because he ended it with, he had all this stuff. And then iChaos had a line and he just said, I know that the type of people that will download this package, whatever, are the quote unquote consume content and turn off brain types.
Oh my God.
And I laughed. I got the biggest laugh out of that. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And this is the one I'm downloading. So like, dude, I was losing my mind. So I finally figured it out, I think. And I'm going to watch Dragon Ball now, Dragon Ball Z.
Gosh.
But I did not realize, because when I downloaded Dragon Ball, it was just like, here's Dragon Ball, whatever, which I also have legal means to acquire, but I just want to watch it correct.
Yeah.
So, but dude, the Dragon Ball Z fandom for some reason is like crazy. They are unbelievable. So yeah, I'm getting a taste of that right now.
Yeah,
so.
It's because you have to like go down. You have to find why we even got to the.
I was writing
like,
I was in ChatGPT, like, explain to me what the correct dub and what year that was and what, like, I needed like an internet summary because I could no longer go through the forums. It was the only thing comparable is probably Star Wars fans, but they are so just like beat down with like they can't have the originals that like they just watch whatever. But like these guys, like, dude, because that's what I was so confused. I subbed to Crunchyroll and I was like telling my friend, like, yeah, I got Crunchyroll, I'm excited to watch Dragon Ball Z. And they were like, you can't. You can't watch it there. And I was like, well, then why do they have it on there? Like, what? They're like, you need to go to this website and use this thing. And I was like, I want to sit at my TV and watch this. I am not going to sit at my computer and go to some website and dodge ads and watch a 290 episode show. Like, that is not happening.
That is the funniest thing, though, is like when you start seeing those fights and you're like, why is this a fight over this sub? And you have to really you have to sit down and research for an entire day, and you find the different viewpoints and you find whatever, and then you have to decide like which of these morons is right. Like one person, one of them is probably, okay, this sub does this. Okay, this dub is whatever. But the funniest thing recently, it's not quite the same, but I remember putting in the group chat and putting the screenshot. I was stuck on, it was something with Windows freaking 10. It was like locking the taskbar. But like when I would full screen, when I was playing a game, it would still show a line across the bottom. Like I'm trying to play on my OLED and there's like a line which you don't want to burn anything. So I'm like, I have to get this off. So I found other people had a similar issue. And when I went down to the farthest thing of the rabbit hole, that's what I put in our group chat. Somebody's like, there's 3 ways to solve this. Try each one. And I tried them, and like eventually you're like, do this. Try this, turn the setting off, and then turn it back on. And if you do that, sometimes that will actually work. And that was literally where things got left off of. Like looking through all the forums, looking at stuff, it basically was like, do this, and sometimes it will work. And when you're at that level, I was just like,
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
lost the
you know
plot.
what? I have another example of this kind of thing though, where like you can't find the right instructions. So
Yeah.
I'm playing Mass Effect 3, which by the way, is an aside note, I am loving Mass Effect
Good one.
3. That game is incredible. I'm having just the best time with it. I'm loving the main missions. Most of the side missions are really cool. I will go do a side mission and then like somebody I already know from a story pops up when I'm not expecting it, and it really
It's
surprises me.
fan
Even like
service the
little,
game. If you've played those
it
first 2,
is. It's really cool.
does a really
And
good
I've
job.
heard it has a great ending. I can't wait to see what that's all
You're
about.
years out from
Not
that, so people won't
controversial.
kill you now for saying
That
that. So.
that is the game. Last Jedi broke movie fandom. That is the game that broke games.
Yeah.
Like I think that we are still seeing the remnants of all of the hateful stuff that
I mean,
came
they
out of
made
that.
like
But
a patch for it, so.
now, did you mind the ending? I don't really know what all the
No,
options are,
I
but
might have not understood it as good as these people, maybe, but to me, it was like you kind of have to end this thing. You got to wrap it up, and I felt like I was fine with whatever the choices were. I don't know.
you're pretty good with that because, like Game of Thrones, you were similar. Like everybody lost their mind, and you were like, "Yeah, I thought it was fine."
I thought it was bad, because it didn't do what the other series. It kind of leapt forward in a way that's like they never did the whole series. But the series as a
Yeah,
whole, I still really really love that series. But some people like poo pooed. Now I think culturally kind of poo pooed itself, like pop culture
yeah,
wise, because of that ending. But yeah,
yeah,
I thought there was some really awesome stuff in that season and leading up to it. But
yeah.
yeah,
But Mass Effect 3, the gameplay is much better than even 2. Everybody always poo-poos on 1 and then says 2 fixes everything. I thought 2, it was good, but
I thought 2
it
was better, and
shaved
then
off
I thought 3 was even better than that.
3 was even better gameplay-wise. 2, like, has no customization to your weapons, barely. You
Yeah.
just pick a weapon. You got mods, you got upgrades, and then 3 but one of the problems now I've got 2 problems, but one of the problems with Mass Effect 3 is the Citadel is really cool, and there's all these areas. There are so many side quests on the Citadel, and the first thing that I'm running into is there are broken quests or quests that I believe to be broken at times that I got into a quest and like basically I was supposed to scan these terminals and there's a story character in it, and if you don't finish the quest, like she doesn't join the war effort. So it really matters. And like I talked to this girl, I'd saved like a couple hours prior. I talked to this girl, Tally, and she's like, "Ooh, I'm spying on this guy. Go to your Spectre terminal and flip on, tracking, and then come meet me here, and then click on this terminal." So I did the Spectre, I flipped it on, then I went to the terminal, and it wouldn't let me click on it.
Uh,
Wouldn't let me click on it, and I haven't saved for like hours, like 3 hours, and my autosave, like because I moved areas,
yeah.
changed, and I tried everything. I left and came back. I turned my game off, turned it back on, and I found all these old threads for this quest from like 2010, 11, with people having this problem. And I went down a nightmare of articles of people like, there is no solution. And then there would be someone that wrote the solution, and like they would say, we have a solution. And then you would go to that article and it would be blah, 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 blah. You can't, if you have this problem, you can't change it, but you can load an earlier save. Like that was the level of like instruction you were getting. And I was like, I cannot load an earlier save. That is not happening. And I tried everything. I was looking on Reddit, I was looking on things. And then the legendary edition, people were running into this problem.
Oh my
And people
gosh.
were saying, God, they never fixed this. This is a disaster, blah, blah, blah. And I turned my game off. I was mad because
Yeah.
I'm trying to get all the characters. I'm trying to like, there's a lot. It's like fan service game. You're trying to get all these characters and close these story threads. But I stepped away and I came back an hour later and I was like, I had given up. But I was like, I'm gonna look one more time. And I Googled again and I went through all these threads. And one of the Reddit threads, only one, I went through probably a dozen threads on Reddit, a dozen articles. One of the Reddit threads, there was a guy that wrote, and he just said this. He said, "This isn't broken. You're all just stupid. Go to the second terminal." And I was like, well, I don't know like where that is. So I looked up and they said it's in this part of the Citadel. I went there and it let me click on it, and the quest just proceeded. And I was
Oh my
like, I
gosh.
had to dumpster dive through
Yeah.
12 years of bad information and people arguing and complaining. And dude 69 on Reddit on one comment
Yeah.
had the answer, and he was an asshole about it. He wasn't even like, hey, this is a big misconception. His comment started, "You're all
You're
stupid."
all stupid.
And it's like, I don't know, man. It's the extent you'll go to solve problems and try to get an answer on the internet
Yeah.
can be a little maddening sometimes.
That's what I'm doing now with this freaking PS2 thing. It's crazy. So digging through the internet, but it does feel like
Yeah.
like the sun rising when you find that one Reddit thread or that one comment,
Oh,
that one
yeah.
person. God bless them. That one
Yeah.
YouTube video that fixes your problem. But
The
uh,
best.
yeah. But I think that's it for video games.
I
Possibly.
I beat another
Oh
game.
wait, yeah,
I
you had
beat
some other stuff.
Dragon's Dogma 2. I infamously maybe in our last year. Cause I played a lot of
Yeah.
it. I was like, I don't think this deserves even a mention for game of the year, because I was very upset that that game
Yeah.
really disappointed me. But with having a kid and like I got limited time, I was like, let me just boot this up and finish it. So I did. And there are parts of that game that I like. I would not recommend that game. I just I don't understand like why it plays the way it plays.
Yeah.
It is so Red Dead 2, everything's like it feels like you're walking through mud
Yeah.
and like in like grime and dirt, and like everything's slow. Or like
Yeah.
GTA 4, everything's real slow.
Yeah.
So Dragon's Dogma 1 is not like that. It's like arcadey. Dragon's Dogma 2 is. And there's no fast travel, so everything is just slow and it takes forever to get places. And the story falls off the wagon on the back nine. Like they just stop. They set up a whole story with this like plot and this queen, and she's trying to install her son as the king. And then like you just leave that town and none of it ever gets addressed. And like you just start talking to a shaman in a cave, and he tells you to go kill a dragon, and you go kill 3 dragons, and you collect the material, and then you give them to a guy you've never seen, and then he tells you to go to this place, and then you fight a big dragon, and it ends. Like they don't address, and it actually is shocking. It's the worst story I've ever seen in a AAA game. I actually am mad. They didn't even try to
Yeah.
connect it. Like it wasn't even lazy or something. Like it just genuinely didn't connect. So, but I was glad I finished it and I could check that box. Oddly enough, I kind of still want to play the first one because people say it's better. And the parts of this that I liked, it has.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it fixes some of the other stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of where I landed on Dragon's Dogma. And then, still working my way through Rebirth. I paused on that. Just wanted to kind of play some other stuff. I'm having a great time with it, but yeah, I did 60 hours and was like, I'm gonna go do some other stuff and I'll come back and do the other
I mean, I
60.
did that too, and I loved the game. I went away for a little
Yeah.
bit because I had other projects and stuff
Yeah.
to do, but I went away for like a month and then came back. I was like, "Ooh,
Yeah,
I'm
you
ready."
played it like the whole year,
Yeah,
basically.
I played off
So
and on throughout the whole year. There were certain times like I
yeah.
got to step away for like a couple weeks and do something else
Yeah.
or whatever. And
The only other game I've been playing, I've only done 3 hours, is Avowed. I picked up Avowed, which is new. Um, New RPG from Obsidian. That game is cool. I like it. I think the gameplay is the star of the show with that one. First person melee and magic and like Skyrim stuff typically doesn't feel very good. It's just kind of more, okay, you're in the world. That's the appeal. You're walking. It's not like fun combat normally, this is legitimately fun. Like when you swing, it's got a great feel to it. And it, when you hit, it's got a good weight. You knock the animations of the enemies and the rag dolls are really good. The magic is so fun. And basically the way it works is you've got guns, you've got like old musket guns, you've got bows, you've got maces, and when you do spells, you hold a book. And so you've got a hotbar when you pull the book out of like 5 or 6 spells, and every book has a different combination of spells. So when you find a new book, you're not just like, well, is this one spell? You're looking at like, well, what combinations of spells are in this book? And you can have a book in one hand and a gun in the other hand, or you can have a book and a mace, or you can have your two-handed mace and then a book with a wand that lets you cast other spells. So you've got spells in the book, but you can also memorize spells that are just always on another hotbar. So it's got a really cool magic system. I normally don't do magic a lot in RPGs. I do more bow or more, swords. But this one is really cool and really fluid and fun. And the other thing I really like about it is it's not it's open zone. It's not like
It's not all the way
open world. It's not open world, but it's open. Like when
It
you get
sounds
to
like they're
the
niche then,
area,
because what was that game that you played for the
Outer
Outer
Worlds. It's
Worlds?
very similar,
So
very
it
similar
sounds
to
like
Outer Worlds.
that sounds like a good niche for them, because I bet on their
Yeah,
end they're not having to make these open world games, and then they kind of get more tailored, smaller experiences and
yeah,
stuff.
correct. Now the only thing is there's a bit of a culture war going on with this
Uh
game,
oh,
which unfortunately is just what happens with every game, and it's not because it's woke,
no
quote
woke,
unquote. There's nothing woke in it, quote unquote,
nobody's
right?
asleep.
Um, there's nothing. It's not political.
Okay,
People are mad because they're making all these comparison videos of like Skyrim's a 12-year-old game and it has these physics and this game doesn't.
yeah,
Or one of the things that's very controversial, quote unquote, with this game is like when you go into a town, the NPCs don't like roam around and have a schedule. Like they're just in a spot. And I'm like, why do people not understand that like this game is a different game. Like they don't have the resources Bethesda has. Like they don't
yeah.
have like this game wasn't on that budget. But like people are like, don't buy this game because of this. And I'm just I watched this video about the entire history of RPGs. It was like 7 hours. And so I think that what's kind of hard for me right now is people want games to have this hyper level of simulation and physics and be open world and do this and do that, but like they won't buy anything
Do you
that's
think
new that
part of
doesn't
the
have it.
problem is that, and I think you brought this up when me and you were talking about it, it's $70? Because if this was maybe
Yeah, yeah,
60 or
yeah,
even better, but they would never do it, 50, then it's
yeah.
like, okay, I know what I'm kind of getting. I know I'm not going to get like an
I
open
think
world
I think
Red
that
Dead
is
kind of
part
game.
of it. I think 70 is such a premium price point for people, for your everyday person. $70.
It's a
I
lot
know
of
the
money.
cost to make games has gone up. People's general spending money has not
No.
significantly gone up.
So that, yeah, so they're
And
like,
these companies like don't seem to be aware of that. And not only access, which has become a big trend these days.
you froze
And
up. You
yeah,
froze
I
up a
do
little
think
bit.
that's part of it. I was just gonna say it's $70 to buy it new,
Yeah.
but most of these games you pay 100 to play it early and all these other
Yeah.
things. And it's just I think that's part of it, but I also think that it's a little bit of people if a game isn't the dream game that does everything perfect, they want to slaughter it.
Yeah.
And I think it's really sad. I think it's kind of sad. Like I don't know. Starfield had all the physics simulation and all the stuff, and they hated that too.
Yeah.
So like I don't know what they want is kind of what my attitude is like. I want to just try new RPGs. I like RPGs. I've played RPGs
Yeah.
since I played KOTOR as a kid in 2004. So if this game is gonna, not have the NPC interaction as much, but it's going to have really good combat to offset that. Cool. But like so much of the engagement farming I see on like X, and I don't know how it is on TikTok, but I see this a lot on X, is it's just very negative about any game that comes out, comparing it to a parallel game 10 years ago. And it's just only focused on like the one or two things that are far different or worse in this one. But it just
I will
is
play
lazy to me,
devil's
and it's
advocate
so
here
negative.
for the negative people, because I kind of get that of like, we have a sentiment of it or a catchphrase of it of just play Halo 3, because there was this stuff that was coming out and we were losing stuff that Halo 3 4-player co-op. We had all those conversations. So I get that from them, but I'm with you on like the overly negative of like, this experience to me, it sounds like a AA game to me. Doesn't sound like it's $70 worth. But maybe just,
I think it should be 50, 60, but I'll pay 70 because I want to support RPGs.
Yeah.
RPGs.
And if you are like that, then just know what you're getting into and be like, okay, I'm going to wait till it's on sale, and I'm not expecting Skyrim. I'm not expecting Red Dead 2 level open world, and this is going to be a smaller, like, cool experience, and we'll get in and get out. Which to me, I think there's other people like me. They're like, I don't need another 150-hour open world game. They could have probably made this another 150-hour thing, but it's just been empty, these empty worlds, and you're just traveling, and it's just all these like kind of side. I don't know. So to have something that's on a smaller scale and you maybe finish it, I don't know how long is this game, like 25 hours, maybe 20 hours or something. But
I think it's closer to 50. It's longer than Outer Worlds, but that is a selling point to me, that it is less.
Yes, it's a selling point to me too. It's like I could stay 100 hours in a game, but it's like at some point I want to move on. There's other games I want to check out, and there's other experiences and stuff. So, but when it comes to Zelda, I'll play 100 hours of that. But like this game, Avowed, I think, get in there a smaller amount. I don't know.
My whole thing is that they need to be careful what they wish for, because if they boycott everything, I do think that like we will stop seeing single player games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying we should just take whatever we get and be happy. Like, I don't buy everything. I'm judicious. I pass on certain games, but if I pass on a game, I don't like go on a crusade to tear that game down.
Yeah.
But I also have a life, so I don't.
That's the biggest difference, I think.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
I mean, I've lived through the 2000s of being online since 01, and you always see the flaming and people just fighting with each other and stuff back and forth. And Mass Effect 3 was I think the one that cracked me up, of people just death threats and all the stuff. But over that. But I've seen it all, and it is crazy. People would just, I mean, it's cliche, but it is people with no lives. Like, because if you do have a life and you see this, you're like, oh, cool. Or you see something like, oh, I don't really enjoy that. And then you like go out that evening for like dinner with your family or something, But if you don't have that, yeah, maybe I would like want to beat the crap out of everybody that made this game. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I don't have time.
Yeah.
Maybe I see that. Maybe I see why they're like that, but that's not a fun way to live. But take 5 seconds.
People love to.
And think about like what you're like letting upset you. I don't know. Now this is getting really meditative. I've been playing so much Tomb Raider. You just gotta.
Well, I think the same way we say sometimes just play Halo 3, just play Skyrim.
Yeah.
Like if you want Skyrim, newsflash, nobody's fucking made another Skyrim since it came out.
Yeah.
No one.
And they keep just putting out Skyrim.
A first-person immersive RPG where you can be anybody. You're not locked to like narrated story. Like Cyberpunk's probably the closest thing, but even then, the main story is pretty locked in as far as like who you are and your background and stuff. Like, yeah, I just, they didn't like that one either. So I don't really know.
And I'll do one last caveat before we move on. We have I have poo-pooed on stuff, but we move on. Like, there's other stuff we enjoy and we talk about, but and it takes a lot for me if like certain things keep stacking up. It's like, what are we doing Microsoft like with Xbox? You know what I mean? Like, multiple podcasts in a year, they're doing so many stupid like stuff. It's like, at some point, it is good to call out like, this is insanity. Like, You have
Yeah. Oh yeah.
collectively like I give everything 3 strikes usually on things in my life, even, but like these people
Yeah.
have had like 14 strikes. It's like, guys, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Like it's okay to be like, you know, but
Yeah.
also I move on. You gotta move on too, but
Yeah.
move on with your life.
Agreed.
But speaking of life, I have no. I just think that's the best way to transition anything. Speaking of this, you know, I'm breathing air right now. Speaking of air, on the air. Have you heard of this show?
Why does that sound familiar? I don't know what it
This
is,
is
but
almost a semi lost media show that David Lynch and Mark Frost made uh,
no,
after
I've not
Twin
heard of
Peaks.
this.
And it's 6 episodes, maybe 7. I think 6, though. Episodes long. And it kind of just got canceled like after this, they did their little run of it. But I had heard of it for years, and they finally put it up on like you can actually get this on like the archive.org, like so I'm not like illegally downloading this or whatever, but like it's
Yeah,
really
me either.
lost. They never like put it in HD, so it's like in less than 480p quality. Um, and I'd always been wanting for years to see it, but then after Lynch passed away, I was like, you know what, like I'm going to finally check out. This is the one thing I've kind of like you know Desmond in Lost when he kept that book and he's like, I'm gonna wait till I'm about to die and I'm gonna read this book. Like
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
was me with On the Air. It's like David Lynch died. It's like I'm gonna watch the last David Lynch thing. So I booted this up with my wife, and I'd heard this is more comical, and this is absolutely, as my shirt says, Looney Tunes of a show. The premise of the show is they are like it's in the 50s, it's set in the 50s, and they are putting on like this kind of variety show. Now, I think this is something that they probably did in the 50s, but like they had one studio and they had different sets and they kind of just had everything in one set. Like the show would like come over here and then they would do a commercial for like pet food over here and then it would cut back to this show and they had this ongoing story. And what this is one of those, but everything goes horribly, completely wrong in the first episode, like comically wrong. Um, and every character you've seen season 2 of Twin Peaks, which is famous for being
Yeah.
so overly like funny and goofy that it's too much. It's a little bit like pump the brakes a little bit.
Y- Yeah.
This show is a continuation of that. They kind of just kept going with the silly goofiness of season 2 of Twin Peaks to this show. And it is zany. Every single character has a weird quirk in it. And me and Chelsea watched the first episode and we were belly laughing. Like it was the way they wrapped it up. Like everything starts to fall apart and these gags kind of like at the very end they all pay off and it's so brilliant, it's so good. But at the end of it Chelsea's like, this is a lot of a show. Like it's very just goofiness. So I was like, I think I'm gonna go off on my own and watch the other. So I have, and it has continued to be absolutely just it is nonsense every single scene on this. Like it's absolutely like bananas is the only way I could describe this show. So
Well, I kind of want to watch this. This sounds
yeah, I
awesome.
don't know if it's good yet. The first episode is definitively very freaking funny because of the scenarios they put in it. But I think this, I don't know, it might be bad. I might be getting into bad territory. I might have saved my last Desmond book for something bad, but it's still funny and it's Lynch and there's cool
Yeah.
moments in it. But
Yeah. That sounds really
that's on the
interesting.
air. That's what I've been watching.
Well,
And Severance
speaking
still watching, and you've been watching Severance. I'm sure you'll probably talk about it. But
I am
yeah,
caught up
Severance.
on Severance. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually watching TV. So, I don't know. We just kept hearing about it, and Jess was wanting to watch it, and so we started it, and it caught me like from the first episode. I really like. It's just got a great premise. I mean, that's part of why this show is so big right now. It just has a really good premise. It's got a really good pilot. It's got a
Yeah.
really good first season. There's no duds. I think the first season was really clean with like its plotting and
Yeah.
it's a pretty much a perfect season of television. It just keeps you intrigued, keeps you right on that next end of the carrot stick. I like season 2 a lot. I think season 2 has been a little bit more now that they know they've got a captive audience.
Yeah.
They've been a little bit more spaced with some of the reveals. It's good, but it's like
I
they're
think
they're
because they only
trusting
had
the
one
audience a little
season.
more.
They only had one
Yeah,
season, and they didn't know if they were going to continue.
yeah.
So now they can get into
Yeah,
the
they're
weeds.
trusting the audience a little bit, to just kind of be like, "Here, we're gonna pay this stuff off. Just
Yeah.
hang with us a little bit." Whereas the first episode, there would be mysterious things, but you'd be like, "Oh, I wanna know," and then they pay it off in, like, an episode or whatever.
Yeah.
They're setting up the mythos a
Yeah.
little bit bigger,
Yeah.
in this one, which is cool. Whether this ends up being 3 seasons or 4 seasons, I mean, they've done a really great job. Love the performances, great cast, great writing. Yeah, that's kinda all I got to say. I'm really enjoying this current season. But I think everybody and their mom is watching that show right now,
Yeah.
so, I mean,
Yeah. But yeah,
finally got me there.
it's a Lost type show. You're getting mysteries and stuff. So I'm glad to have one of those in a rotation and stuff. Because the last one that was like that
Yeah.
was the Westworld for me, and that like
Mhm.
couldn't land the plane all the way there at all,
Yeah.
and it got canceled. Which that's the first time that's ever happened to me, and that sucks so bad when you're not. It had enough answered that it's like I can live, but it's like, oh, like they didn't get to definitively choose their ending. They
It's
kind of
painful,
they
yeah.
kind of hoped that they were about to end, so they kind of like left some stuff to where it's like this could be a good ending. But that was the last one was Westworld, and so now it's good to have one back in the rotation. But
Trying to think any shows that happened to me. Firefly, I watched that in, like, middle school,
yeah, that one didn't get to.
and that was, like,
But didn't they get the movie? The
really
movie because I watched Firefly.
I never watched the movie, I don't
Okay,
know.
the movie kind of
I do
answered
think
stuff.
they did end up clearing some stuff up. I don't know, Firefly's kinda weird for me because when I watched it in, like, 8th grade at my friend's house, like, I thought that was the coolest stuff I'd ever seen, and I tried to go back and watch it, like, 5, 6 years ago, and I got through about 10 minutes and was like, "This ain't
I
it."
watched it 10
It's
years.
just
I watched
cheesy,
it 10
it's
years
just
ago, and I got through, and yeah, it's cheesy. It's just a cheesy show.
it's cheesy. I
Yeah,
didn't remember it being cheesy when I was a kid, I
yeah,
remembered it being cool,
yeah. It's
like,
cool in
I
2000.
thought
Everything's
it
cool
was
in the
cool,
2000s.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I did watch a few things here TV wise. I watched Wild Wild Country,
Oh
which
yeah,
was a good documentary. Crazy story you've talked about on the podcast
yeah,
before. Crazy stuff happened. I work with a guy, the Sheila lady.
yeah.
I work with a guy who's like 78, and he is like a male version of her.
Oh
Like,
really?
he is amazing. He's one of my favorite humans on earth. So, like, just like we are gonna go do this, and you're not gonna fucking stop us. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
that guy, yeah. So, that was just, like, sending me that I know somebody, which those are rare people. A
yeah,
lot of people maybe don't meet somebody. I'm not saying he's poisoned anybody, but, he's a character, and so I love those kinds of interesting people. You know, as a documentary, I felt like, um, I don't know, I felt like they jumped around, like, in time a little bit, and, so I feel like they
we know
coulda
how you're
slow
doing
played their
about
hand.
time jumps the other night. We were talking about
I
Travis
felt
does
like they
not
coulda
like
slow
time
played
jumps.
their hand. They kinda blew their load in the first episode and was like, "People get poisoned and this," and then they kinda go through it chapter by chapter
Yeah,
after that. I think that they coulda saved some of those, like, reveals, so, it was good though. It
yeah.
was it was good.
I was still
We
shocked by the
watched
extent of that, and
It
I
was
was
crazy.
really shocked. The most shocking thing I think of that, along with the poisoning that was going on, was they were going so heavy or so high in numbers in such a small town that the one thing they talked about that stood out the most to me in that entire documentary was like they almost had enough votes to like really destroy that town from the inside out. Like they had so
Me and
many.
you me and you are on different ends of the spectrum on this. I thought the town people were the lamest people on planet Earth. I thought they were the lamest people on planet Earth. I thought that the cult was kind of in the right on some of this stuff. I really did. Now they lost their way later, but
Yeah.
like, dude, the town people, I don't know,
Well, I'm
man.
not.
There's a
I don't
whole
have an opinion on the townspeople. I don't care about that. I'm talking about a people that can just come in there, this cult, and like kind of like control a certain aspect, like out of town, coming to this town. It's like, oh, now we have enough things to like sway this entire like thing this way, and people are like sick of us, but it doesn't matter. We're just going to sway this whole thing.
If you've
I
got a
thought that was the
town of
most,
40 residents and
yeah,
22 of them sell their houses,
yeah.
I mean, are you destroying the town or are they destroying the town?
I'm just talking about just specifically like these people came in with like this set of beliefs and this crazy leader and
Yeah.
stuff that they can just come in and upend all this stuff because they have the votes, and it's like, oh shoot, they actually can like
Yeah.
change all this. I
It,
thought that was
w-
the most interesting thing. It was like, oh shoot, like they can actually freak this whole thing up. But
well, then they started trying to go to the state. Like they were
that's
trying to take over the state. That was
yes,
crazy.
that's what
That
I
was
was saying
crazy.
was the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, and the
Yeah.
poisoning,
They
of
were,
course, but like with that was
but I will say they were trying to take over the state, but they made the point. They were like, Mormons own Utah.
yeah,
So,
that's true.
like, I mean, is it actually that bad or is it just bad because it's not
That's true.
someone's religion of choice, you know? So
That's true.
who's to say?
Who's to say?
There's an alternate reality where Oregon is all sannyasins
Yeah.
and Utah is all Mormons and, Massachusetts, all Catholics, I don't know. Thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
And then we watched that Gabby Petito, it's just
They
short. It's
they
3
already got a documentary out
episodes.
on that. That happened like
They
2
do
years ago, didn't it?
because well, yeah, but she was making a vlog, so they have tons of video footage of
yeah.
her and the boyfriend, like their own personal footage. So I was a little worried at first. I was like, is this going to be like exploitative of like too much information? And it's not at all. Like I kind of was like, I don't know if I really want to watch this, and my wife really wanted to watch it. It's sad, like,
Yeah.
but it's uplifting, and they really make her the focus. And they kind of you kind of feel a little heartwarmed, not about God, what happened to her, but just about, she had this dream of like being this famous vlogger. And like they talk about like her episode she put up does have millions of views, and like she did get to live that life for a period of time. And uh, uh her horrible, you have to watch it, but her horrible boyfriend,
Yeah.
did some terrible stuff.
I think those
But
parents are in trouble too.
they need to be. Those parents need to be in
Yeah,
prison. They absolutely
they
need to be in
definitely
prison.
knew that's
The
that's not gonna end well for them, I don't
the
think.
the anguish they put, the other family through by just ignoring them and not responding. And God, dude, when they show like the logistics of what all went into this manhunt for the guy and for her,
Yeah.
they looked everywhere from like Florida to like where she went missing
Yeah.
last in Montana or whatever. They had people searching everywhere,
Yeah.
all of those places. There was a giant,
I heard they
it
searched
was
so much they
a
found
huge
7
manhunt.
bodies. They found 7 other
Yeah.
bodies.
Oh yeah. They didn't say that in this, but I have no
Yeah.
doubt like they were going to find stuff that had nothing to do with this. So,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
crazy.
it was interesting. It was short too. It was like 3 episodes. And, you know, we will watch a murder mystery. This wasn't really a mystery. We'll watch a murder thing like that, but it takes us a long time to get to a drama show. So yeah, I think that's it though. I mean, I'm watching a bunch of anime, but like nothing really of note, normal One Piece, stuff. So
Yeah.
it's kind of it.
Me and Chelsea have been going through on the movies front. The Oscars is coming up, so around this time she's like, "Let's just watch through these Oscar movies." So, I've watched through a couple so far. Watched Anora. I don't know if you've heard that or seen some advertising for
Yeah,
that.
I've heard a bunch about that. People
But
talk about that a lot.
basis is it's a stripper, and a Russian oligarch's son comes in and falls in love with the stripper, and she has fun with him or whatever, but then finds out like, oh, this guy's like really rich, ends up marrying this guy, like this is very early in the movie or whatever, and then finds out the Russian family does not want this to happen. But this movie erupts into chaos. If you liked Uncut Gems, which I loved, I didn't know that this was going this way. I didn't really know what this movie was, but this movie takes a turn and it turns into Uncut Gems of chaos. And
Yeah.
I adored Anora. I really, really freaking loved it. I think I gave it 4.5 on Letterboxd. I really freaking had a great time with Anora. So very
Cool.
freaking
That's
funny.
one I do want to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend checking out Anora. We watched Amelia Perez, which kind of blew up on TikTok because of Did you see some of these
I've just seen
sing-alongs?
people say like, "How did this get nominated?" Because it got nominated, but then like all these other things didn't, and people have been roasted this movie. So I don't
So
know.
the thing that it's been stuck in my head because the way they do the musical is different than other musicals. There's not really like these big numbers and stuff. There's like these little just things they say. So the thing that went like viral on TikTok was everyone was cracking up at this was, and it's the main it's an actress from Avatar and she's in all like the biggest movies. I forgot her name, but
Zoe Saldana.
yes. So she's coming into this like hospital thing and she goes, um, they go from penis to vagina, vagina to penis, sex change operation, because that's what this movie is about. So this movie is about this is kind of a a very interesting concept. Like the head of this cartel is done with this life and and has always wanted to be transgender. They've always wanted to be a woman, and so gets the help of what's her name again? The character.
Zoe Saldana.
Yes, Zoe. Gets her. She's like a lawyer or whatever, and she's like, "I've heard you help people. Help me like disappear and do this. Like I need to do this, but you need to help me find like the best surgeons to do this." So that's where that song comes from. And she goes to this hospital and they start singing like, "I need sex change operation," but it's like not even like good singing, and it's not like so like that's what people were making fun of, like all this stuff. So
What a
they
weird
kind of
like
talk, sing at
blend of.
times, but it's like not good songs, and it's so we were just like cracking up and just
Was it a good
singing the
movie?
song. The concept was good. It kind of felt like, and people complained about the movie. It kind of went into like one of those Spanish novellas and stuff, like kind of cheesy at
Okay.
times. Selena Gomez is in it, and something very extremely funny happened. I read after I watched the movie was the director hired Selena Gomez thinking that she could speak Spanish because her last name was like Gomez and like her parents were like Spanish, but she doesn't know Spanish at all. So she had to learn some of that,
Oh
like
my God.
which she was, fine at to do, but also like people were like, why did you just assume that? Like, and then hired, like, you really wanted her
Can you
on there. So
imagine if I did that, you couldn't beat that out of me that I assumed that. I would never admit that.
so
Never in a million years.
there's that. I think people in the trans community don't like this for other reasons too. So there's been some controversy for some of this, but overall I had a good time with it, and it was I thought that was it does some interesting things, but it also does some not good things at all, that are just
Yeah.
kind of bad and funny to laugh at. But I had a good time with it. Yeah,
Interesting. Interesting.
Amelia Perez. Yeah, and then the other one we watched was Conclave, which is about like the Pope passes away and all these cardinals you have to kind of sequester them and put them in this like hotel area. They can't leave and they have to vote. And they do like different rounds of voting. Like people that are Catholic are
Yeah.
like, yeah, I know this. Like,
Yeah. I'm
but
aware of the broadly the
the
process,
only
but I
thing I
don't.
knew going in was like when that one Pope died I don't forgot when I was a kid,
And they were in there
they
forever.
kept showing the smoke signals. I know the smoke signals, and that's how they like alert like where they're at in the voting process or whatever. They haven't chosen yet or whatever. Because what happens is like they have to have so many votes, and when people go in, it's like, okay, let's see where we're all at. We'll do a first vote, and they find out there might be like 4 or 5 people that people are like kind of like wanting in. So then they have to talk, and then they have to like discuss, and they have to like get it up to that vote for one person to be Pope. This was
I
really
would
good. This
love
is a really good
I
movie.
would love to I would like to watch that. I would love to hear like the actual discussions that go on. I'm sure this is somewhat researched into what goes
Well, what
on.
happens is like so there's like one person they really want. They're like, okay, I think it might be this person, good or whatever. They very quickly find out like, okay, when the Pope died, one of these people that are in the running or whatever, he was at that last meeting. Well, they're about to like sequestering and like get away from people. He asked. There's like one go between like the main actor in this and the outside world, and he comes in to like give very brief like kind of news stuff, like here's what's going on in the outside world or whatever. And right before he does that, he's like, "Can you find out what this person said about this?" And then when he's also about to leave, there's another person that like they have to kick out, and he's there in the area, and he's like, "Hey, he didn't tell you he like that cardinal that's like popular about to win this. He was a part of the Pope's last meeting, Okay, well, what was he doing? They were firing him. And then he has to leave. He has to leave. And like, and
Oh
it's
my
like, so that starts the
God.
whole movie. So I really like this. It's a good contained story. And it's just, I
Okay.
was intrigued the whole time. And
Sounds like a
it's like,
religious 12
it's,
Angry Men.
it's like conspiracies going on and he has to like hunt down the truth. And it's
Oh,
very
cool.
cool. And it has a good twist. It has a good twist and stuff that they play with at the end. And it's very interesting. So some good movies.
I might check that out. I might check that out.
And then we're not done with it, but there's another one that's on the nominee, but it was called Nickel Boys. And this is about back in like the civil rights movement and stuff going on. And I did not know what this movie, like I kind of knew it was kind of about that, but it's about like a boys reformatory and like these two boys trying to like make it out of there during this time of like segregation, all this stuff going on. But it is in first person. It's told in first person. And that twist of like not knowing that, like I looked at Chelsea, I was like, did you know it was going to be like this? She was like, it's kind of like a video game. Like at times you're like seeing these characters, they look straight in the camera and they're like explaining things like I'm playing like Fallout or whatever at times it feels like. But
That's odd.
we're not all the way through it, but like it's really, really well done. So
Interesting. Interesting. Well, you're getting caught up. You're going to
yeah,
see them all.
I'm going to see them all. Well, I think that was a podcast.
Yep. I think so. We covered a lot of ground.
We covered a lot of ground.
We didn't even have to talk about Phil Spencer.
This is the first time we've kept Xbox out of our mouths.
We're going to let him take a break because I'm sure at the episode 100 we'll have a lot to say.
I think they'll appreciate us shutting the heck up about Microsoft. So, but with that, that's the 99th podcast. The next is the 100th. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be substantial. It's going to be something. It's going to be something.
It's going to be like the 30-hour famine.
We're going to require you guys to not eat. We're not going to eat either. He's freezing up again. You back?
I'm back.
Okay.
Don't
You
know
just
why
start to
it's doing
freeze
that.
and it goes black. It's like fades to black. You're just like losing it. That's probably how you really feel. You just glitch out and you fade to black. But
I'm on low battery.
yeah, we might do a 30-hour famine thing. That sounds cool. Like, what if we just don't eat on stream? That'd be cool.
Or we just play games for 30 hours.
No, I like not eating
What if
stuff. And
we should do a 100-hour stream where we play games and like someone can leave and go to bed, but like the stream doesn't stop.
oh, that'd be awesome.
Like it
This-
just
the-
this stream does not stop.
A Kai Cenat type deal. You know,
What's the longest you can have a stream go?
I mean, his was a month long, so
We should do a 100-hour stream.
I'm down for that.
That's substantial. Now I may leave and come back.
Is your new
and
family with a baby going to be okay with 100-hour?
just like
stream?
you go in and we're just like sleeping on sleeping bags.
This sounds fun, but we're gonna figure out something.
Doesn't that sound fun?
100 podcast. We'll put out a separate like little trailer video talking about it. Something, get the news out to come check us out. It'll be special. It's gonna be substantial. I keep saying
Very
that enough.
substantial.
Very substantial. Any last words, Travis?
You know, play the games you want to play, and don't be a hater, because it doesn't do anybody any good.
Exactly.
That's all I got.
Exactly. But thank you guys for watching. Check us out, DweeBros on X. Check us out next month. Stay tuned. We're going to let you know about that podcast. But until then, check out the people you're about to meet on Facebook Marketplace. Be safe. Just if they say they're 6'4", tatted up head to toe, and they don't take no for an answer, Max Payne, maybe don't give them the address, you know. Maybe don't. Just asking for trouble. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the big 3-digit 100th podcast next month.
Peace.
Bye-bye.